whenever I start any kind of new project, or I get to kind of the point where it's time to start my first pass or revisions, I always ask myself, how have I done this before? Because, man, the amount of work that I see ahead of me for every single project, it always amazes me that it ends up getting done at all. You know, I'm going through this whole section here, and it's like, God, like so many, like, I mean, obviously, there's no, don't have to do a complete overhaul, but there are so many sections that need to be redone and revised and all that stuff. And I'm like, how the heck did I ever get anything done? Like how did I get any novel ever finished? How did I how did I get anything to the point where I can send it off? Because it's like amazes me, how much work there really is on these projects and how long it takes. Yeah, and so just, I mean, I've talked about this week kind of being like sort of a vacation in the sense that, I'm not working on my main project here. It's just kind of a chance to, sort of dabble a little bit, and, just get a little bit of enjoyment out of working on a different sort of project, with no like deadlines or any kind of like expectations. But man, the amount of work, it just amazes me. It really does. I mean, do people really do this like every day of their lives? Yeah, it's mind-boggling if you look at things from kind of the end point, right? If it's like that story about those, what was it? Peru, I think it was either, I don't know, Argentina maybe, those missing rugby players that got into that plane crash back in the 70s up like in the Andes mountains there, and they ended up, like, basically a few of them ended up surviving just because they ended up like hiking, I think, like over like 100 miles or something like that. I don't remember the full account, but it's one of those things where, like, from the outside, you're like, how could someone ever, hike, like 100 miles, where it basically is, to like civilization and survive? And obviously, when you're in the middle of it, you're not thinking that, right? Like, the sort of your superpower, in those scenarios, is the fact that you don't necessarily know how long it's going to take you, and you're not viewing things from the outside. You're thinking just, basically one day at a time. You're thinking, all right, just 1 mile at a time. In their case, I imagine. And when it comes to writing, you have to just think, all right, one paragraph at a time, one sentence at a time, one page at a time, rather than thinking about how many drafts it's going to take to get this thing finished and going, oh my God, it's so much work. Just that one sort of, that one sort of event will obviously, just in the chain of things, kind of build up from there. And so, for me, this sort of week here where I'm working on a different project, it's a good reminder of that. It's a good reminder that, if you keep your head down and not, don't necessarily look up, and you were just kind of pushing forward just incrementally, you will, over the time, over the long term, basically amount to something that equals a finished product. But yeah, I mean, never. It's a good reminder to never look at things from the outside like that. Never step back and go, how much work do I have to do? Always just absorb yourself on just the immediate. What's the first thing that needs to be addressed, and then just kind of go from there. So with that, I got obviously a few more days left here on this project, and then I'll be jumping back into the novel again. Speaking of a massive massive project need to get done, I'm not certain how many drafts it's going to take to finish that one. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm like 2 drafts away at this point. It feels like maybe I'm 2 drafts away. I could be, I don't know. I'm not sure. But we're getting closer. We're going to be getting closer to getting this thing finished. And then we'll kind of see what goes from there. I've talked before about maybe my idea for my next project or something like that after this whole thing's over. But that's, that's like potentially, 6 months down the road here. So Not, if the theme of today is thinking just one day at a time, one event at a time, there's no point in looking that far ahead, I guess, today. So leave it here, but I'll be back in tomorrow.